We are, as a community, at the point where we are beginning to recover from the COVID crisis. But today, we mark a tragic milestone in our community in terms of that crisis. Today marks 1 year since we first started experiencing the loss of life in Colorado due to COVID-19. And in the last 12 months, nearly 6,000 Coloradans have lost their lives, 741 of them here in El Paso County. The flowers here today are in remembrance of those lives lost and in sympathy for the thousands of friends and family members in our community who have been impacted by the COVID epidemic. I'd like to ask Colorado Springs Police Department Chaplain Larry Selman to lead us in a moment of silence.
Yes, if you would please rise. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor and a privilege to be here. I am so thankful for our city leaders and our officials that have pulled together during a really difficult time. So I'm going to lead us in an invocation, and then we will move into a moment of silence. Would you please join with me in prayer? We are here today to recognize several amazing groups of people in our great city that have gone above and beyond the call of duty during a worldwide pandemic. This crisis compares to nothing we have seen or could have ever imagined. Regardless of one's station in life, COVID-19 has touched us, our families, friends, and community in some way, shape, or form. I am grateful for our frontline workers, medical professionals, first responders, and teachers who have performed courageously during these unsettling times. We would not have made it without their unwavering dedication to serve others. One of the major lessons that we have learned from the past year is that we need to bind together as a community to become stronger and endure any challenge that comes our way. I pray we will display compassion and kindness to our neighbors. Let us all commit to the golden rule found in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 6, verse 31. Treat people the same way you want them to treat you. The other major reason for our gathering today is to honor those citizens who have died as a result of this terrible pandemic. Our heartfelt condolences go out to their loved ones, co-workers, and friends. Lord, I ask that you walk alongside those that are in mourning and provide them hope, strength, and your peace that surpasses all understanding. Words fall short in expressing the overwhelming grief our community has faced this past year. But with God's love and guidance, we will get through this to the other side. At this time, let's observe a moment of silence to reflect upon and pay tribute to those who have lost their lives. Thank you, and amen.
Thank you, Chaplain. We know that COVID-19 has taken a tremendous toll on our community, but we also know that cases and tragedies, in all their sadness, nearly always offer the opportunity for heroism. And I'm inspired to be able to recognize some of that heroism here today. I'm reminded of a comforting quote from Fred Rogers, better known to you as Mr. Rogers, who said, "When I was a boy and I would see scary things in the news, my mother would always say to me, 'Look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping.'" And that is certainly the situation here in Colorado Springs. Every day I see the city's helpers in any number of calls to El Paso County Public Health, for example. I'm certain that all of us can look around and quickly identify people in our own lives who have been the helpers during the COVID-19 pandemic. For example, Karen Zelmanek, a significant support needs and special education teacher at North Middle School. Teachers we know have stepped up across our country, and Karen is a standout. Even in the midst of the challenges of a difficult year, Karen chose this year to grow the vital, significant support needs programs. She's an incredible co-teacher and provides real-world experiences for her students. Tragically, this year, Karen persevered through a very personal loss, as her mother was one of the first COVID-19 fatalities. And here with us from Carson Middle School on Fort Carson is Lynn Tidy. Lynn is an AVID and Success Academy teacher at Carson Middle School on the Fort Carson base. Lynn was a career soldier in the United States Army, and following his honorable service to our nation, he chose a second career serving our children. He's the model teacher in a school that fosters the learning and development of all its students, both in person and online. Mr. Tidy epitomizes what it means to be kid-centered in the teaching profession. He's a coach and a mentor not only to the Eagles at Carson Middle School, but also to his peers. And despite the exhaustion that comes with his own battle against cancer, Mr. Tidy never falters from the CMS motto of doing whatever it takes. It's now my pleasure to recognize Karen, Lynn, and frankly, teachers and support staff all across our city and county who've been truly heroes during the COVID-19 pandemic. Would Karen and Lynn please come forward to receive your award? And we are not unfamiliar with the heroics of medical staff, nurses, and doctors across the country who've worked in the most challenging of times. Today, we're joined by one of those, Melissa Hinthorn, a respiratory therapy manager at UC Health Memorial Hospital. Most people had likely never heard of respiratory therapists until COVID-19 came along. But respiratory therapists have been true unsung heroes during this pandemic. During the COVID crisis, they've tended to numerous critically ill patients on ventilators. They assisted with intubations, helping to insert breathing tubes so patients could be placed on breathing machines. They regulated the amount of oxygen being mechanically pumped into the lungs and conducted pulmonary function tests. In short, they saw and cared for the sickest of the sick. The dedication shown by Melissa and the entire respiratory therapy team at UC Health is nothing short of amazing, and particularly at the start of the pandemic, when little was known about the virus and how it was transmitted. To say her courage has been commendable seems vastly understated. Jennifer Arnold has served as a dedicated registered nurse for 34 years, but nothing has challenged her like COVID-19 and the pandemic over this past year. The fortitude and resilience of healthcare workers all across our community have been tested, and Jennifer has found strength in her teammates' support and determination. Day after day, she has witnessed the courage, compassion, and dedication of the frontline staff fighting to overcome the COVID-19 virus. One of the things that has kept her going and encouraged all her teammates has been the support of our community, uplifting their spirits and creating a bond of unity. For Jennifer, the pandemic has reaffirmed why she chose a career in healthcare and solidified the pride she feels working among the toughest of tough and best of the best. Jennifer's pledge is that she and her fellow healthcare team will never give up the fight for their patients, their families, and our entire community. Melissa and Jennifer, please come forward to receive your awards. Now I'm pleased to bring forward Commissioner Stan Vanderworth to continue our presentations. Stan?
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. You know, as the mayor said, these have been difficult times. And today we memorialize and mourn our losses. And I can tell for those families and citizens of El Paso County that the employees of El Paso County share in your grief. And we know how difficult this has been. We've been on the front lines with you, fighting these battles as well. But even in the darkest of nights, we do have stars that shine bright. So it's my honor today to be able to recognize some of those stars that are here in this community. The group that I have the honor to recognize today has been in the front lines of fighting for over a year now. As the head agency in COVID-19 response in our region, our public health team has been working tirelessly to protect our community from a public health crisis unlike anything we've seen before. These public health workers have been amazing, unsung heroes during this pandemic. Much of the work goes unseen with enormous stress, with few or no breaks to decompress, and occasionally with threats. But their effort is the core framework driving our response and the antidote to the negative effects of the pandemic. They have worked with both an eye to the pandemic and afterwards, working hard to keep us safe and keep us open. As part of these response efforts, public health experts have played a critical role in many areas. Epidemiologists have worked to quickly identify and limit the spread. The data and analytics team enhanced transparency by creating interactive data dashboards to keep the community informed. And the emergency preparedness and response team has quickly mobilized testing sites throughout the region. And in a great final push, the entire team is working round the clock to ramp up vaccine distribution to vaccinate people as quickly and as efficiently as possible, and they have done an outstanding job so far to date. Public health has worked with our partners from the business community to provide guidance and technical assistance to help them keep their businesses open while keeping employees and customers safe. We know the idea of a work week has gone out the window for the staff at Public Health, who are working 7 days a week, 24 hours a day to serve their community, beat this virus, and save lives. They have risen to the challenge time and again to help our community, and we are forever in their debt and forever grateful for their heroic actions. Ladies and gentlemen, here to represent public health and accept this award on behalf of all of the dedicated and heroic staff of public health is El Paso County Public Health Director Susan Whalen. Susan, if you would come up, please. We'd like to present this award to you on behalf of the entire team. Thank you very much for your service. So at this time, I would like to welcome Councilor Tom Strand to the podium. He has additional remarks to make and some additional presentations to make. Thank you very much.
Well, welcome everybody, and thank you very much for taking time out of your busy days on a weekend that it looks like we'll be challenged with winter weather that maybe we skirted a little bit earlier. But Mayor John Suthers and Commissioner Stan Vanderworth and Susan Whalen, Director of our Health Department, I'm honored to be here with you. I know the city is exceptionally grateful to the El Paso County Health for their guidance and expertise during this complex time. And Susan, you know, at City Council, we hear the reports almost daily. Now we're getting into the weekly, but it's critical to us to make decisions for our city. I have the honor of giving the last award of today's event, knowing that these examples of heroism, while incredible, are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to all those who have performed heroic acts in our community during the crisis. And I'm looking at a sign that says, "My COVID Hero," and it lists everyone that's in this room and many that are in our community. The final award goes out to every member of the city and county first responder communities. So we couldn't squeeze them all in here even if we tried. The El Paso County Sheriff's Office, the Colorado Springs Police Department have been responding to emergency calls through the pandemic, quickly learning new safety procedures, donning bulky hygiene equipment, and responding to the usual call volume despite the pandemic, and in some cases even higher than the usual call volume. These folks do not have the luxury of working from home like I have, but they go to work every day ready to face danger, even the invisible danger of COVID-19, as we all know. In true first responder style, none of our agencies were able to recognize just one or even two heroes, but instead, they asked that the awards today recognize their entire departments and the many acts of courage that happened throughout this difficult last year. So, to represent CSFD, CSPD, and the El Paso County Sheriff's Department, let me bring up Laura Robley. If Laura could come up from the El Paso County Sheriff's Department. Hi, Laura. Let's do this. Sergeant James Allen from the Colorado Springs Police Department. And Lieutenant Steve Garcia from the Colorado Springs Fire Department. To you and all your brothers and sisters in blue and brown and whatever colors you're wearing, we thank you very, very much. And now I think Ms. Whelan's coming to the podium, and I get to sit down.
Thank you, Council Member Tom Strand. Appreciate it. I'm a little bit shorter than everyone else. I wanted to say how much I appreciate Mayor Suthers and the comment about look for the helpers. I can't think of a better way to really celebrate those helpers by acknowledging all of them today, because there are so many, and that is just very touching. And also to Commissioner Vanderworth for talking about the stars in the darkness. That is really touching, and thank you so much, because this past year has been incredibly stressful and difficult on all of us for so many different reasons. And we have got a resilient community who have really stepped up in so many different areas, and we are so grateful to you all. Thank you to our first responders, our teachers, our healthcare, and our public health professionals. You are truly inspirational. You are examples of courage and dedication, and we are forever ever grateful to you. Thank you all for being here today. While this is the anniversary that marks a somber occasion, and I remember it well last year, it was March 13th, Friday the 13th, and I remember very vividly the entire day of what had occurred. And I think many of us do. We offer our deepest condolences to the families and friends of the loved ones who have passed. We also want to recognize our first responders and all of the response heroes who have been working tirelessly to help our community. We celebrate these individuals and countless community partners for reminding us that there is hope on the horizon, and together we are making tremendous progress. While there is still much work to do and challenges to face, I'm optimistic about the future. This year we have another prevention tool in our toolbox, the Cova Vaccine. This prevention tool, paired with the other prevention measures we've all been using, are able to help us limit and stop the spread of the disease in our community. In El Paso County and Colorado Springs, we are proud to say that we've vaccinated nearly 112,000 people. With over 174,000 total doses administered in El Paso County. We have numerous medical providers, including our hospitals, Children's Hospital, UC Health, Centura Hospital, and also healthcare centers such as Matthews VU, Optum, Peak Vista, and numerous pharmacies who are part of El Paso County and Colorado Springs Vaccine Consortium. We are working diligently to vaccinate priority groups safely and as quickly as possible. Each organization and their teams are heroes in the public health system. We would not be successful without them. I am inspired by the depth of resilience and the fortitude of our community, which you all have demonstrated over this past year. With our COVID numbers trending downward, combined with the ramping up of our vaccine efforts, we are hopeful that our community will begin to return to an increased vibrancy and improved quality of life. The vaccine is safe and effective. If you want to be a COVID hero yourself, please get your vaccination when it's your turn, and as soon as it's available to you. We are going to be talking about a campaign also, because we know that we don't have enough time to thank all of the helpers in our community, but we do want to hear from the community about who your hero is. So with that, Michelle Hewitt, our Public Information Officer, if you would like to come up and give us a little bit of details about the campaign, please.
As Susan mentioned, throughout the pandemic, we want to acknowledge that this in no way captures all of the many people or even all of the partners and agencies that have helped produce heroes during COVID-19. And that's why today we are excited to launch the My COVID Hero campaign. The City of Colorado Springs, El Paso County, and El Paso County Public Health want you to take part in this social media activation and post about your COVID heroes. To participate, simply post a photo and a few words about what your hero has done or continues to do during these difficult times to help our community. You can post it on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and tag it with the hashtag #MyCOVIDHero. We look forward to continuing to celebrate all of the courageous acts, large and small, from across our community. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll now open it up to questions.
Thank you for being here, and with that, then we'll close out. Have a great day.